The pursuit of the truth is often met with deceit, but the quest for liberty always discovers the truth.
So, Mr. Kimmel, did you lose part of your brain mass when you lost weight? Or did you sneeze and part of your brain was blown out your left ear when you grabbed your nose by accident? Or was it success granted to you by the leftist whose asses you kissed that caused your loss of brain cells? The irony here is that you made the comment that so many late-night talk show hosts are liberal because it requires a level of intelligence. Well, Mr. Kimmel, just exactly what level of intelligence are you referring to? Is it the intelligence that shows that you have isolated and addressed only progressive Americans who buy the daily leftist nonsense in the media? You know, those who are willing to give up their freedom for free stuff and nonsensical notions of utopia, those ones? There was a time in this country when late-night comedians were actually funny and garnered tens of millions of viewers for only one show. You barely managed to break 3 million sometimes. That means you have lost nearly 80% of your audience. So is that intelligent? George Norrie of late-night talk radio, predominantly on AM, which most of your audience doesn't even know exists, gets 9 million viewers. Do you realize how embarrassing that is, Mr. Kimmel? That means your so-called intelligence can't even compete against a late-night radio show that talks about aliens and the supernatural! Idiot! And don't try to hide behind the fact that people are listening to AM at that time of night aren't looking for humor. Remember, Johnny Carson, who was funny, saw 19 million viewers per night during his last week of broadcasting in 1992. How many of those viewers shifted to other forms of entertainment like, say, I don't know, alien talk, because your brand of late night shifted strictly to leftist politics? And also, don't try to hide behind the notion that TV viewership has taken quite a hit from the internet. Even if that is true, you are still losing to a late-night talk radio show on AM, let me remind you, that talks about aliens and ghosts. You, Colbert, Trevor Noah, all of you are there because your companies are run by leftists. They've all figured out the time slots that they can still make good advertising dollars on by not turning away an entire segment of the population and allow you to use the late hours to spew your rhetoric, even if it means the value of that time goes down as a result. So far down that it is cheaper to advertise on your time slot on TV than, once again, late night AM radio. Think about that. George Norrie is selling his ads for more than yours, and he talks about aliens and ghosts. Okay? In other words, the only reason that you and your cohorts can continue to not be funny comedians is because your shows are literally carried by other time slots that are watched by people with traditional American values. And you are so damned intelligent that you can't even see this. You think your version of political commentary is clever, but it is obvious that you do no research and probably have no idea what empirical data even means. You see the daily headlines in the deep state media complex and you regurgitate them. You don't even have to think to do this because the headlines themselves already have the opinion attached. You align yourself with leftist activism and assume that all conservatives are idiots without an argument. Your complacency in this actually ended up harming you when you made the stupid decision to invite Trump supporters on your show. You found out the hard way that these people were actually educated and more informed than you. As it turns out, most Trump supporters happen to know the Constitution and state and local laws. In typical progressive freedom-stealing fashion, you tried to present an argument based on emotion, and the Trump supporters turned that argument against you as well. You were so ill-prepared that you even snapped on the set. Although you edited it out, you lost every point of your argument and even lost your temper. So I find it laughable that patriots on Twitter are challenging you to debate someone as sharp as Ben Shapiro when a less-known conservative and Trump supporter, Arthur Schapper, triggered you on your own show. I am pretty sure that in your little progressive elite bubble, you even know that you would fail miserably debating the likes of Shapiro. I personally would love to take you on, not because I consider you a challenge, but because I would love the world to see just how much of a fool you are. You see, in spite of the media handpicking and labeling certain people, the truth is conservative libertarian types are very informed. Many actually started out believing the nonsense that you spew. But what happened is they became conservatives and libertarians because they realized that freedom and liberty cannot be achieved by subscribing to the actions that you espouse. In fact, your ideas lead to corruption, economic collapse, and ultimately starvation. You have only to see what has happened in places like Cuba, Russia, and Venezuela in order to become aware of this. But it seems that you, having joined the elite circles, lack the logic to do so. Regardless of how you try to argue your little points, you cannot escape the fact that everything you believe in has destroyed the very state in which you reside. California, in spite of having the world's 6th largest economy, is now the poverty capital of the United States, with 1 out of every 3rd welfare recipient residing in that state. The policies that you spew and the politicians that you support are single-handedly responsible for a 1 million-unit housing shortage, a failed schooling system, a disappearing middle class, a declining small business sector, higher crime rates, and a widening gap between the haves and have-nots. It is your people and your ideology that you spew every night on your show that has failed your own state. The fact that you would make a statement about intelligence level of those who disagree with you shows just how foolish and idiotic you are. Everyone knows that the real reason that conservatives aren't part of the late-night comedy landscape is because they aren't allowed to be there. The left is so frightened of conservatives that they would never give them the opportunity to show themselves. Look at what happened with A&E when it ran Duck Dynasty. The leftist executives thought the show would bomb in its first season, and that it was an opportunity to literally make fun of conservative outdoor types. Well, they were wrong. The program became wildly successful, and the ratings were so high, in spite of hating it, they couldn't afford to cancel it. So do you think that late-night platform is willing to risk the loss of ratings by ideological lemmings like you, by allowing conservative comedian who might actually be funny to take over? Ha! Everyone knows that Hollywood is nothing but a leftist echo chamber unwilling to allow any other point of view. Just like you edited out losing your temper to an unknown Trump supporter, Hollywood does exactly the same on the whole by editing out anyone who might actually be making it money in order to keep the leftist conversation undisturbed. So when you make the statement that late night comedy requires a level of intelligence, you must mean a low level. If you really think that you are intelligent, then offer stands, okay? Debate me. Prove to me that you're smarter than me. Prove to me that this conservative is the idiot you say he is. Until then, I will turn off your station so that I can watch YouTube videos of intelligent people like Gary Galeno, Arthur Schapper, Adam Carolla, Ben Shapiro, or maybe I'll just turn off the TV entirely and listen to George Norrie on the radio talking about aliens and ghosts. Have a nice day, Mr. Jimmy Kimmel.